Good evening. Tonight from Paris, a cultural landmark is preparing for transformation. The Paris Opera, one of France's most celebrated institutions, is set for a major modernization. At the Bastille Opera, Culture Minister Rachida Dati stood before cameras to unveil her ambitious plan to reshape the opera's future, an initiative aimed at redefining not just performance spaces, but the very relationship between this historic institution and the public it serves. The announcement took place on September 2nd, 2025, inside the Bastille Opera. Cameras captured Minister Rachida Dati as she arrived, ready to outline a blueprint for change. This wasn't just about maintenance or renovation. It was about accessibility, inclusion, and rethinking what the Paris Opera represents in the 21st century. Joining her was Alexander Neef, the director of the Paris Opera. Both stood as key figures in this transformation, Dati as the state's cultural steward and Neef as the institution's guardian of tradition and innovation. Together, they signalled the beginning of an ambitious era of cultural renewal. Rachida Dati began her remarks by focusing on the opera's infrastructure. She reminded her audience that the glamour of the stage often hides the practical needs behind the curtain. The equipment at Bastille will be renovated, as will the stage cage at the Palais Garnier. The Berthier workshops and the dance school will also be redesigned. Providing the means for creation, she emphasised, also means ensuring proper workspaces for teams and artists. All of this will be rehabilitated. Her words underscored a practical reality. Without proper spaces for dancers, singers and craftsmen, the opera cannot thrive. Behind every performance lies the invisible labour of countless professionals. For them, this project promises more than cosmetic upgrades. It offers dignity, functionality, and a commitment to excellence. But the project goes further. The Bastille Opera itself, with its modern facade and imposing structure, stands as a symbol of France's late 20th century cultural ambition. Inaugurated in 1989, during the bicentennial of the French Revolution, it was designed to embody a democratic vision of opera for all. Yet over time, critics argued that the building remained intimidating, disconnected from the city's daily life. Dati's project aims to change that perception, bringing the opera closer to Parisians and visitors alike. She explained that this modernization is also about rethinking the public spaces of the opera to transform its image and welcome all audiences, making it accessible and open, a place where people can stop, live and discover. Nearly 5,000 square metres will be accessible during the day starting in 2030. These areas will host workshops, exhibitions, events and new cultural and artistic activities. This, perhaps, is the most revolutionary idea. The opera as a living civic space, not just a performance hall. By day, families could attend workshops, tourists could step inside without tickets, and Parisians could use the space as part of their everyday lives. By night, the stage would continue its traditional role, but the opera's doors would never truly close. Attention then turned to the Palais Garnier, the 19th century jewel of Parisian architecture. Dati spoke of its mythical facade, which by itself embodies the very DNA of Paris. Restoration will continue there, but cultural life will not be interrupted. Visits to the Palais will remain possible, and the opera's cultural activities will continue throughout the renovations. She thanked Alexander Neef for ensuring that artistic life would carry on, even as scaffolding rises and workers restore the monument. To maintain a constant link with the public, the opera will offer off-site programming, performances, workshops and meetings with artists. Even if some rooms temporarily close, the Opéra de Paris will remain open, not just physically, but symbolically. At the climax of her address, Dati declared that France was opening a new era. This fall, an international architecture competition will be launched to rethink the public spaces of Bastille. She described it as a first and beautiful step, reflecting the collective ambition carried by the Ministry of Culture, the Opera and the people of France. For observers, this was more than a cultural policy announcement. It was a statement about national identity. In France, opera is not simply an art form. It is a mirror of history and heritage. The Palais Garnier, with its golden statues, grand staircase and painted ceiling, embodies the grandeur of the Belle Époque. The Bastille Opera, meanwhile, reflects modern Republican ideals. Together, they represent continuity and change, tradition and reinvention. The Modernization project, therefore, is symbolic. It seeks to reconcile these two identities, the historical grandeur of Garnier and the democratic ambition of Bastille. It also seeks to reposition the opera within the rhythms of daily Parisian life, making it a place not just for elites or tourists, but for all citizens. Still, challenges remain. Large-scale renovations of historic sites are costly, often exceeding initial estimates. France's cultural budget is already stretched by the preservation of countless monuments, from cathedrals to museums. Critics may question whether opera deserves such investment in a time of economic uncertainty. Others may doubt whether 5,000 square meters of new public space can truly change habits that keep many Parisians away. Yet supporters argue the opposite, that culture is not a luxury but a necessity. By opening the opera's doors wider, France is making a statement about democracy, inclusion, and the role of art in civic life. The opera could become a symbol not only of artistic achievement, but of social openness. By 2030, if the vision is realized, the Paris Opera will no longer be just a stage for arias and ballets. It will be a crossroads of culture, education, and community life. For Rachida Dati, this project is both a matter of policy and of legacy. For Alexander Neef and his teams, it is a test of innovation and endurance. And for the public, it is an invitation to step inside, to discover and to claim the opera as part of everyday life. From the steps of the Bastille Opera to the gilded halls of the Palais Garnier, France is preparing for a cultural renaissance. If successful, this project could redefine not only the opera itself, but the role of cultural institutions in modern urban life. For Parisians and visitors alike, the curtain is rising on a new act in the opera's storied history.
Paris, cher Jean-Jacques, Monsieur le Président de la Europe et de l'école de danse et des ateliers vertiers. 4 lieux, mais une seule maison.
Bonjour à tous. Monsieur de Paris-Bas, cher Laurent Bonafé, Monsieur le Président des activités de mode Chanel.
The equipment at Bastille will be renovated, as will the stage cage at Palais Garnier. The Berthier workshops and the dance school will also be redesigned. Providing the means for creation also means ensuring proper workspaces for teams and artists. All of this will be rehabilitated. This is also the purpose of this modernization, rethinking the public spaces of the opera to transform its image and welcome all audiences, making it an accessible and open place where people stop, live and discover. Thus, nearly 5,000 square meters will be accessible during the day, starting in 2030. New spaces will be arranged for workshops, exhibitions, events, and new cultural and artistic activities. Ultimately, the opera will become a place rooted in the city, in the daily lives of Parisians as well as visitors. Regarding the Palais Garnier, the work on its mythical facade, which by itself embodies the very DNA of Paris, will continue. Visits to the Palais will be maintained, as well as the cultural activities of the opera throughout the duration of the work. And for that, I wanted to thank you, dear Alexander, for wanting the activities to be maintained, even during the work. Constant connection with the public, even during renovation periods, is an essential point. If this unprecedented project will require temporary closures of rooms, I have asked the opera to make the construction period a time for sharing through off-site programming, performances, workshops, meetings with artists. The Paris Opera must remain. Ladies and gentlemen, we are opening a new era starting today. I am very proud to announce the launch, starting this fall, of an architecture competition to rethink the public spaces of Bastille. This is a first and beautiful step in the ambition we collectively carry with all of you and in the service of everyone.